Hello happy souls, welcome back to my channel. This is Charlotte with Happy Twins 1111. My beautiful friends, I've got a nice long juicy reading for you today, but before I begin I just want to say a special thank you to the very generous souls that have sent me so many decks this week. I'm going to show them to you. I don't know who this one was from because it didn't arrive with a note, but this is the White Newman, a Sacred Animal Tarot. Thank you so much. This is a new release that I've been wanting and looking forward to, so thank you so very much. We've also got the Witch's Oracle. This was a gift from Sid. Thank you for sharing your light with the world. You are helping heal so many souls. Thank you, Sid. And we are using that one in today's reading. I also got this one. I'm not sure who this is from. This is the Crystal Oversoul cards. We'll use these today as well. Thank you so much. I'm loving all the new crystal decks that are coming out. This one, I believe, is from Linda. Hello, Charlotte. I just want to thank you for bringing so much light and love to our hearts. Your tarot readings are amazing, profound and healing. I chose this deck because love is always the answer. Bless you, from Linda. Thank you, Linda. This is the Tarot del Toro, and I'm excited to use this as well. Thank you so much. We also got the Love Oracles. We're using this today. I love this deck. There are so many people that will recognise it. It's so fun. So thank you so much if you sent me this. We received the Soul Coaching Tarot. This was a gift from Diane, and she says, oh, I beg your pardon. No, Diane got me the Fey deck. Diane got me this one. It says, enjoy the Fey deck. It's meant the world to me. My 4-year-old daughter picked it when buying my first deck, and it's been a powerful deck in my collection. Thank you for the Reiki scholarship this year, from Diane. Thank you so much, Diane. We're using this deck in pile 1 today. Love that. I don't know who the Soul Coaching one was from them, but we're using them today. Thank you so much. We've also got this one, the Good Karma Tarot. I believe this was from Samantha Perez, who says thank you so much for your time, and we're using this one in pile 2 today. Absolutely adore this. Thank you so much. And finally, the Tarot of Vampires. This was from Sydney as well, I think. I think these came in 2 boxes from the same person. Thank you so much, Sydney. I appreciate you guys so much. I really am so humbled to have received so many gifts all at once. You guys are amazing. Thank you. I really appreciate it. I'm very moved when you go out of your way to gift me something like this. So thank you. I appreciate it. Anyway, I digress. Let's move on with our reading. We have 3 paths for you to choose from, and we are asking today, what do you need to know about your person? You know, what's happening behind the scenes, what's happening beneath the surface that you're not aware of and that you need to acknowledge. So we're going to get all the details. We're going to go really in depth. Take your time choosing a pile. There's no right or wrong way to do that, as always. In pile number 1, we've got the Fey Tarot, that lovely gift from Diane. Pile number 2, we've got the Good Karma Tarot, which I think was from Samantha. And in pile number 3, this is a new deck I've just bought myself, is the Bumbleberry Hollows deck. And then you've got Selenite, Lapis Lazuli and Caribbean Calcite. So take your time choosing, see which crystal or pile you're drawn to. If you're drawn to more than one, it just means that there's messages in more than one pile for you. The timestamps are in the description box below, and that will take you straight to your reading, and I will see you there. Hello pile 1, welcome to your reading. You have chosen the Fey Tarot with a selenite heart, and we are asking today, what do you need to know about your person? What's happening beneath the surface that you either can't see, you're not acknowledging? What do you need to know to help you move forward with this connection, this situation, for your highest good and the highest good of your person as well? So when I do these readings, you know, we're appealing to your person's higher self to clarify what we're not seeing, you know, and what we need to see. So let's see what's come through for you today, pile 1. This beautiful Fey Tarot, which was a gift from Diane. Thank you so much. It's the first time I've used this deck, so we're going to give it a really good shuffle. And we've got a ton of oracle cards today. We'll also be getting the charms out. So stay tuned. It's going to be a really in-depth and detailed reading. There will be an extended today as well, if this resonates for you. And I'm sorry I've not been here this week. I know this is the only reading I've posted. I've been going through a really weird shift, for want of a better word. I've not been feeling entirely balanced, but I've had a long good sleep and woke up this morning and thought, I'm ready to do a reading. So alas, here I am. I never do these readings unless I feel like it, and I think that's the best way. When I force it, it never works. So that's why you see gaps sometimes when I'm not posting. It's just because, you know, the impulse hasn't taken me and I don't want to force it. Anyway, let's do this pile one, the Fey Tarot. What do you need to know about your person? I'm going to pull some cards first, just to help kind of signify who your person is. And at this stage, I would suggest to you, you know, ask for a sign. And a sign can be anything at all. It could be a goddess or deity, an animal or a symbol, a word, a phrase, numbers, colours, anything at all that feels right to you, any kind of object. There really is no right or wrong. But a sign gives the universe an opportunity to let you know that they've got your back, and that, you know, spirit is listening, it's guiding you. And you may find that this sign presents outside of the reading experience as well. You know, you may start to notice it in and around your life in other ways. And spirit will communicate with you in every which way it can. You know, it's about finding an open channel. So that might be through me, it might be through pictures it shows you online, or, you know, messages it sends you through other people, you know. So it's always wise to pay attention. Let's do this. Okay, so I want to know a little bit about your person and the situation between you first, so I have some context. We have got the Ace of Cups, the Queen of Pentacles. What one is that? That's the Nine of Cups in reverse, Temperance in reverse, and the Eight of Pentacles in reverse. So that's about your person. What about the situation between you right now? We've got the Knight of Wands. We've got the Nine of Swords. We've got the Eight of Swords. We've got the Three of Cups. And we have the King of Wands in reverse. So don't worry about reversals. There is a little note about how I work with them in the description box below. It also references how I shuffle. So let's get some chakra wisdom cards. We've got prayer, trickery, and forgiveness. And for those of you that are already looking for signs, we've got the rhino, dragon, a squirrel, fish, lemons. We've got angels and parrots, obviously lots of fairies. I'll mention others as I go. Okay, so from this new oracle deck, what's it called again? The Love Oracle. This is such a cool deck. We've got Rihanna, Mary Shelley, and Sappho. And from this deck, which I believe is the Soul Coaching Oracle, we've got Playfulness, Voyage, and Truth. And I'm just going to move these up because I have a feeling they're not all in shot. Just push them up a bit so you can see all the cards. Okay, so your person is very, very loving. They're generally a stable and committed person. They really enjoy the security of a long and stable relationship. But this is also someone that struggles with a great deal of insecurities. Their emotions often aren't in balance. And they really struggle to find that kind of balance between heart and mind. When the Eight of Pentacles comes up in reverse, this could also be someone that isn't working or is struggling with their work life right now. But this is definitely a loving person. There's a lot of water energy here. That could be Pisces, Cancer, or Scorpio. And, you know, they really are, even though they may not appear to be, they really are, you know, focused on commitment. You know, this is something that they want to encourage and bring into their life. However, I don't feel that they're especially ready for that right now. Now, when the Knight of Wands comes up, I believe this person's probably been coming after you with quite a lot of zest and zeal. You know, the Knight of Wands is a very determined, driven and passionate energy. But the problem that this person has is that even though they want the stability of a loving, committed connection, and they have all of this love to give, you know, with the 9 of Swords and the 8 of Swords coming up as representing the current energies between you two, this is someone who is extremely scared. And I want to bring this 9 of Swords up to you, because the 9 of Swords is all about sleepless nights, nightmare, intense stress and anxiety. And we can see here that there's a portal opening up for them. They can't see what's around the corner, but they're literally crippled by anxiety, and they're fearful of being stabbed in the back. Now, that isn't something that's happened. It's what they fear might happen. And the fact that this angel or fairy here appears in red, this for me connects to the trauma contained within the inner child experience. So, you know, this person is very fearful and may come across as being very flighty, very non-committal, but that belies the truth of who they are. Deep down, they're a real softie. And this reminds me of Cancerian energy, you know, with that really hard shell, but all soft and gooey on the inside. But what you see with this person is not what you get. You may find them sometimes cold. You may find them sometimes avoidant, but deep down they fall in love very deeply, very quickly. And so they're very, very measured and cautious, you know, when they get to know someone. We've got the 8 of Swords here as well, which is another symbol of anxiety. And it's also representative of how the fears within our mind inhibit us from taking a step forward. Because, you know, they're so worried about, well, what if this happens? What if that happens? What if it doesn't work out? What if, what if, what if? And those what ifs really challenge them. And so they may have been somewhat detached recently. When the 3 of Cups comes up in reverse, for me, this is someone that's not interacting. You may have been on some brilliant and lovely dates and had a lot of fun. And then this person's suddenly shut down and gone really quiet. And when the King of Wands comes up in reverse, you know, this for me really demonstrates someone that just doesn't feel powerful enough to take this forward. So you may be dealing with a person that's younger than you as well. But I think what's interesting about this person is the contradiction of their energy. So they may, as I said, be Cancerian or other water sign, but we have a lot of fire signs here as well. And so you may find that the water sign is actually their moon sign, the hidden part of self, whereas all of this fire, Leo, Sagittarius, Aries, could be their rising sign. You know, they show up looking like fire energy, but actually have a lot of this very sentimental, very sensitive water energy beneath the surface. So this person isn't who they appear to be. You know, you may find them unpredictable, you may find them devoid of emotion, but deep down, they have a lot of love to give. They feel very deeply, and this is what makes love so challenging for them, because they know that once they cross that line, there's no going back. And of course, that requires them to make themselves vulnerable. Now, the fact that prayer has come up, I don't normally read this card this way, but I feel like this person's quite bitter about religion or about spirituality. They've had some kind of experiences in their past which are very triggering for them. And so they may be very suspicious when you bring up spiritual topics, psychic topics. You know, even though they kind of do believe and they have some kind of faith, their perception of spirit or religious stuff has been very much distorted by their experiences. And again, I'm seeing this lemons here as a sign of bitterness. You know, so they may have rejected, you know, any suggestions that there's a magnetism or soulful connection here, but I'm hearing that they do feel it. Now, the trickery card is really interesting. We've got the dragon and the squirrel here. This is a green card connecting to the heart chakra, and you can see that this dragon is kind of hiding this acorn from the little squirrel, but they both look quite happy and congenial. You know, the squirrel already has enough. And so if this person has kind of been playing games with you, it is very playful. You know, they're not trying to hurt you. They're not trying to pull the wool over your eyes. This is how they stay in their power, how they stay in control, and how they feel into the situation, how they figure out if this is safe for them or not to move forward. So a lot of guys will call this shit tests. You know, they're kind of deliberately behaving in certain ways to see how you react, and that informs them more about the situation. And so, you know, a lot of what they present right now may not be exactly as things are. So you're being asked to bear that in mind and to consider that this person isn't exactly as they seem. It's interesting that we had this inner child pain come up and then this energy of forgiveness with the rhino. This person's holding on to a lot of bitterness and a lot of anguish from the past. They've had a really painful, toxic and dysfunctional relationship that has left them with this betrayal fear. You know, that they're afraid of being hurt again. They're afraid, they were probably cheated on, but they're afraid of going through that again. And so this is why they have so much fear when it comes to relationships, and very much present this energy that they don't care very much. Now, the Knight of Wands is often about travel, and we do have voyage here. And it says, I am safe and I am loved no matter where I am. So your person may be at a distance from you geographically. Perhaps you live in different states or even countries. But what I'm hearing is there is potential in this connection regardless of that, and that the state of affairs as they are now isn't how it's always going to be. Playfulness. My joy is the greatest gift that I have to give to others. And again, this is how this person showers you with affection. You know, when they are making an effort to be funny and they're making an effort to entertain and impress you, it may appear quite shallow, but this is how they show interest and care. You know, they like to be the comedian or the clown. You know, they like to make someone laugh. This is the gift that they share of themselves. And it says here, the truth. I live my truth. This is a very interesting energy to come up, and I'm noticing how it's coming up near all of these reversed energies, the blocked energies, and this person looking in the mirror with all of this blue energy that again represents truth. And what I'm hearing is that this person doesn't yet know how to face themselves. You know, they still really struggle, as we described, to bring themselves into balance, you know, and they're still trying to figure out who they are. So on that note, you know, they may not feel very comfortable about expressing the truth of who they are to you. I very much get the impression that this person may have bigged themselves up somewhat. They may have kind of brushed over what they really do in their spare time or what they do for work, because they're still trying to impress you, and they don't know if you're going to accept them as they are. And truthfully, they don't really know who they are. They're still figuring it out. We've got Rihanna, Mary Shelley and Sappho. And Rihanna says, the badder you are, the better it is. Sometimes you have to stick it out through the storm. You have to be strong to let yourself be weak. What an interesting quote there. So, you know, this person, the badder you are, the better it is. You know, they've learned to look like and act like they really don't give a monkey's. You know, they've learned how to show you this demeanor that they don't care. You know, this is how they weather the storm. This is how they get through this. You have to be strong to let yourself be weak. You know, they can't allow themselves to be vulnerable until they've, you know, figured out if this is safe for them. And we also have Frankenstein's Mary Shelley. The beginning is always today. Elegance is inferior to virtue. A slavish bondage to parents cramps every faculty of the mind. And so, you know, this might be someone that's tied to some family obligations or responsibilities. You know, they may appear very shallow on the surface, but actually this person, you know, certainly understands that a person's personality and attitude and values shine much brighter than their appearance. Sappho, love is a cunning weaver of fantasies and fables. Someone in some future time will think of us. What is beautiful is good, and who is good will soon be beautiful. Really drawn to the little infinity sign here, and also how similar this looks to the Three of Cups energy, which is currently blocked. So it may appear that this person, you know, has lots of other dalliances or romantic interests, but again, it says love is a cunning weaver of fantasies and fables. You know, someone in some future time will think of us. What is beautiful is good, and who is good will soon be beautiful. So for me, this is asking you to trust, you know, that to trust in the longevity of this connection, even though it seems a little bit rocky right now. So what aren't you acknowledging about this person, pile one? What do you need to know? We've got the Four of Swords. We've got the Magician in reverse. We have the Ten of Swords in reverse, and we have the Queen of Cups in reverse. We've also got the Seven of Cups. Well, clarifying, we have the Two of Swords in reverse, the Page of Pentacles in reverse, the Seven of Wands in reverse, the King of Pentacles, and the Page of Cups. So you need to understand that this person is still very much in a defensive state of mind. You know, when the Four of Swords comes up, it's all about recovery and needing the time and space to have that recovery. The Two of Swords coming up in reverse suggests that this person simply isn't able to make a decision right now. And so, you know, you're really being guarded against being too hasty in writing this connection off. You're instead being asked to understand that it may be slow moving while this person, you know, works through some personal stuff. And certainly you're not obligated to wait around for them. But, you know, if you're interested in this person, what I'm hearing is you're going to have to be patient. You know, when the Magician comes up in reverse, this reminds us how disempowered this person is from taking action right now. And again, it's clarified by the Page of Pentacles, which reinforces that they don't yet know what they want or even how to get it. The Ten of Swords really suggests there is some unhealed trauma or wounding that has yet to come full cycle. And again, I'm really guided by all of this red energy, which seems to be connected very deeply to that inner child pain. You know, again, we've got this forgiveness here, and we did have this suggestion of, you know, responsibility or obligation towards the family, which they may not feel entirely good about. So, you know, this person is just coming into awareness about their own family dynamics and the trauma that exists within that. They're still figuring it out and they're still very triggered by it. And remember that our experience outside of the family home is very much a reflection of how we were conditioned and what we're experiencing and how we react. And you know, with the Seven of Wands coming up in reverse, what I'm hearing is this person has no boundaries, you know, and this is why they've become so very precious about trying to maintain their independence and not rushing in, because they know once they're in, they're all in. And that makes them feel very, very vulnerable. So they don't have very good boundaries, and that might mean they're not very good at respecting yours. And this is why they keep such a big distance, because they don't want you to perceive them as being needy and clingy, which deep down they are a little bit. You know, they've got this anxious attachment stuff, and so they stay back until they simply can't anymore. When the Queen of Cups comes up in reverse, this again, this is Cancerian energy, but it's ill-dignified when it's blocked. And Cancerian energy, when it's blocked, can be quite emotionally manipulative. And again, we saw this energy of trickery, someone kind of throwing a bomb into the situation to see how they would react. And this person is very predisposed to doing that. So, you know, they're not always straight up. And in particular, we've got this energy of commitment again with the King of Pentacles. And so this really reaffirms to me that they act like they don't care, but deep down they're already very attached. Deep down they care very much and they want a committed connection. They're just afraid to move towards it. The Seven of Cups also is about choices, and it's about the overwhelming confusion around making choices and decisions, which we saw again with this Two of Swords in reverse. It's clarified here by the Page of Cups. And so, you know, this person's not going to come forward with any deep commitment, even if that's something they want. They're going to continue testing the waters and making you very simple and seemingly non-committed offers. But again, you know, you're being asked to roll with this and to trust in the forward momentum of this connection, because this person does really, really like you. You know, they're just very, very afraid. So let's get some more cards out here. This is the Witch's Oracle. What else do we need to know about this person? We've got the Holy Stone, protection, Cauldron, the womb, Nemesis, lessons, and the Book of Shadows, experience. And again, for those of you looking for signs, we have more fish. We've got another dragon creature here. There's fruit, quite a lot of fruit in this reading. And here you've got some kind of horned gods or dragons. You've got a dragonfly down here, a raven, apples and mushrooms. And we've got these beautiful pink peonies or roses here. This candle and Book of Shadows. Right, so I'm going to get some more archetype cards. What else do we need to know about this person? We've got Monk, Nun, the light attribute. We've got the shadow attribute of Saboteur, light attribute of Detective, and the light attribute of Goddess. So I do believe that this person does recognize that there's something very magnetic and very spiritual about this connection, but that terrifies them. It kind of both excites them and also makes them very, very nervous. We've got the Holy Stone and also this monk nun light attribute, which says selfless devotion and single-minded dedication to spirit. But I'm hearing that this is the energy they pick up from you. You know, they recognize your light. They recognize your commitment to your own journey and your own path. And they feel very protected and comforted in your presence. We've got this Empress energy here as well with the womb. There's a snake here as well for those of you looking for symbols, but this is clarified by the Saboteur, and the shadow attribute of that is induces self-destructive behaviors or the desire to undermine others. And so, you know, this person's very intimidated by your divine feminine energy, your power, your abundance. You know, I'm noticing the harvest here. And with this dragonfly showing up, remember, dragonflies skim the surface of emotion. So I'm hearing that you don't give your game away either. They just see this powerhouse of a person that's very confident, very grown, very mature, and they're very intimidated by that. And so, you know, they do kind of self-sabotage by trying to undermine your confidence so that they can appear stronger. We've got Nemesis here as well, and it says lessons. And this is clarified by Detective. It said the light attributes of Detective are great powers of observation and intuition and a desire to seek out the truth. And what I'm hearing is that this person certainly recognizes that there is something deeper here between you. You know, they're trying to figure this out. This person's constantly stalking you online, checking your Facebook, checking your Instagram, your social media platforms. They're trying to figure out who you are and why they've met you, because I'm hearing this connection and this energy between you hasn't gone away, even though they've not nurtured it. You know, they notice that you pop in and out of their mind, and even though they don't know how to navigate their emotions in this situation, they are very much intrigued. They love that you bring all of this spiritual woo-woo experience, and they genuinely see you as a goddess. It says here, the feminine expressed through wisdom, nature, life force, and sensuality. So you may be into the whole witchy thing, which they're really drawn to, but also very intimidated by. You know, you're definitely the sort of person this person saw themselves with, you know, ending up with and having a relationship with. But once you meet someone that actually aligns with your dreams and your fantasies, it's very intimidating, and we then have to face the fear of potentially losing it. And so this is where this person is at. They are deeply intrigued. You know, they love that you are all love and light and wisdom and kind of bettering yourself. But they're also very, very intimidated because they don't feel enough. And as we saw, you know, there's definitely issues in and around their work life that are blocking them. But above all else, this person has been very, very hurt and needs to take things very slowly. So let's see what the guidance is for you to take away with you, part one, before we move this to the extended. In the extended, we're going to go deeper. We're going to see how they're thinking and feeling, what you need to know about that. I think we'll get some messages from their higher self as well. Okay, so we've got adventure, power and awakening. And from the Love Oracle, we've got Diana, Princess of Wales. I love her. Prince Philip passed away today. I love our royal family. I'm really sad about that. He was 99 though. What a grand innings. He had a wicked sense of humour, that guy. Right, Joan Collins and Laverne Cox from the Chakra Wisdom Tarot. We've got guilt, we've got instinct, and we've got impatience. And from the Crystal Oversoul cards, whoa, they wanted to come out. We've got Hematite, Lemurian Seed, and Sapphire. I'm going to get some charms as well for guidance. Let's just give these a good shake. Okay, we've got quite a few here. Let's see. We have got fake news. Everything will be all right. I'm trying and that's enough. Don't overthink it. The Instagram camera, the Loner Club, the dead battery. This is a positive sign. Teeny tiny little elephant. The map. And finally, the Fix a Broken Heart bottle. Okay. Guidance for you, part 1. Right now you are running on empty, and even though you're very, very focused on this person, you're being asked to recognize that that kind of obsessive focus is actually born of an avoidance of self. You two are definitely mirroring each other in many respects, and I'm hearing that the family connection to obligation or responsibility and the guilt you feel when you try and step away from that is an energy that you both share. And this is something that needs to be resolved in both of you. In truth, even though it doesn't appear that your person has the capacity for the same perspective and growth that you're experiencing, I'm hearing that they very much do. They're just a few steps behind you, and you mustn't get impatient whilst they figure out their truth and ascend in the way that you have. You've had a massive head start just by being born into a divine feminine energy, which is both naturally, emotionally, and intuitively receptive. So, you know, having that comfortable relationship with your emotions and with your intuition and your instincts definitely gives you a huge advantage when we're trying to heal the broken parts of self. I'm hearing that you two have a very similar life experience as far as childhood's concerned. Now, there is someone behind the scenes that's very jealous, threatened, or triggered by the energy of this connection. And I'm hearing that this is fake news and that you need to disregard what other people are telling you about this person. If you haven't heard it from the horse's mouth yourself, then it's a thought that you need to park until you're able to confirm the truth. Definitely you're being asked to withhold judgment at this stage because you may have heard some concerning things about this person. I'm hearing that could be connected to drugs or substance abuse that freak you out and, you know, turn you off. But there is foul play involved here. It says, wonderful new experiences fill my life. And this is what you're guided to focus on. We've got adventure, power, and awakening. You know, this is all about stepping into your own power, you know, embracing your awakening and rolling with the energies that are presenting for your growth. Remember, your person is trying to do the same. They really are trying their best, even though it appears they're doing very little at all. But you're being reminded everything is going to be okay. And this don't overthink it charm. You know, again, your person with that 9 of Swords energy, 8 of Swords energy, you are also a terrible what-ifer. But what if this happens? What if that happens? You know, you have quite a negative, intrusive thought process, a pessimistic outlook in general, which you're being asked to cast aside. I know you feel very lonely right now and you're frustrated to get this relationship going and just, you know, be with someone. But that energy in itself is a contradiction of surrender, acceptance, and your own power. Because wanting a relationship is one thing, being lonely and needing it and feeling bereft without it really demonstrates how much work you still have to do. You know, this person is as interested in you as you are them. You know, we have got this as a positive sign, and the little elephant here for me is like that soul's memory, that soul recognition. You both know deep down that there's something really powerful here, but you really do need to focus on your own energy and your own growth right now. You know, there is a kind of divine plan, a divine order, or a destined roadmap, which is going to lead you along the path you're meant to go along to experience what you need to experience. With a Fix a Broken Heart bottle, there's a message here that maybe you need to address the more unhealthy coping mechanisms you have that prop up your fragile self-esteem. Now, food really comes into this. You may be obsessively rigid in your diet, or perhaps it's that your diet is out of control. Either way, there are some unhealthy coping mechanisms that are disguised as kind of healthy options, I feel. So, you know, we can all be, there is such a thing as trying to be too healthy, but you know, your battery is drained right now, so whatever's happening, it's not in balance. Sometimes this charm can also indicate alcohol or substance abuse. That came up too for your person. So again, you know, if you're trying to soothe your insecurities, your fears, you know, any energies of betrayal in your past by blocking it out or numbing that pain with substances or some other kind of unhealthy coping mechanism and addiction, you really need to pay close attention, as this is something that's potentially blocking you. Diana, Princess of Wales, says, better to have one night of pleasure than a whole life of misery. Don't ask, don't tell. DNA tests are for commoners. The truth is there are many people in every marriage. And so this suggests to me that maybe there are, you know, other people involved in this. Again, that fake news energy. You can't trust everyone that's informing your opinion about this person. There are other people involved. Joan Collins, beauty is power. Use it rather than lose it. Age is just a number, irrelevant unless it's a vintage wine. Everyone is a potential character for a novel. And I love, love, love this energy, because, you know, you may be feeling, especially if your person appears to be quite shallow, and we already mentioned an age gap, that, you know, they couldn't possibly be interested in you. Perhaps you feel that you're too old, you don't feel that you're beautiful enough, but it says beauty is power, use it rather than lose it. And, you know, we are all attractive to somebody. You know, don't allow the media's suggestion of what beauty looks like to distort your sense of self. You are a beautiful being. You know, you are beautiful exactly as you are. I love Laverne Cox. No one is going to have pleasure on your behalf. Go out and claim yours now. Let them love you for who you really are. Embrace those closest to you, so your warmth and power make them strong like you. So, you know, this is about really enjoying life for what it is, allowing yourself time to go out there and become yourself, and to enjoy the things that you may have been inhibiting yourself from, perhaps that you feel too old for, or you missed that boat. It's never too late to start up a new hobby. I'm picking up dancing in particular, or something musical. Perhaps you've avoided this for a long time and you think that ship has sailed, but you're really being encouraged to just, you know, embrace playful and fun experiences. Go out there, develop new hobbies, new connections. And there's a strong message again here that you are not too old. Time is not running out. The three crystal cards you've got are hematite, Lemurian seed crystal, and sapphire. I don't have any sapphire to show you, but this is a very common stone that you're probably familiar with. In this card, it's connected to number 9. And number 9 is the energy of the hermit. So I feel like there's something very empowering about the energy of sapphire that's going to help you step into your own power and adventure, and to focus on your own journey. Lemurian seed crystal, I can show you. Bear with me, let me grab one. I'm going to get a smaller one and a big one. So this is a bigger piece. You can see the very distinctive striations, and you know, they're so raised they make a noise. So that's a Lemurian seed. And then these smaller ones tend to be, I mean, they do have striations on some sides, but they tend to be very irregular shaped compared to traditional crystal points. So Lemurian seeds are all about connecting with your higher truth. They're said to store the energies and wisdom of our ancestors, you know, our history and information about that. So it's very deep when you meditate with these. But Lemurian crystals, for me, above all else, connect me to my own soul's truth. And the fact that this is a number 8, the number of infinity, you know, this is a cycle that you are currently focused on right now that may need this crystal to bring clarity. Number 7, of course, is the energy of the divine. And here I'm really intrigued that we've got 7, 8 and 9, and I did shuffle these. We've got hematite. Let me find the hematite. Here we go. Here's a nice big shiny piece. Now, hematite is a very grounding stone. It's a perfect stone to use in meditation because it keeps you rooted to the earth. And so, you know, you need to ground yourself in your own divinity as well. I'm hearing that you're often so up in your higher chakras that you forget to anchor yourself in Mother Earth's belly and maintain, you know, a deep connection to the earth. As I say this, there's a tiny little bird at my window. I believe it's a finch. It's absolutely beautiful. It's a little black and white and brown bird. Oh, it's so cute. It's kind of like a chickadee size. So just thought I'd mention that for some of you which may have asked for a bird sign. But I really hope this was helpful for you. There's a little butterfly there. Obviously, we've got wolves as well coming through for you here. Hopefully you got the signs you asked for, but maybe they'll show up in the extended. I'm going to go over to that now. So if this resonated for you, you can join me over there. But thank you so much for joining me here. It was a pleasure to read for you as always. You guys are so very generous. I want to say a huge thanks to those of you that take the time to watch my commercials. That really does make the hugest difference to my channel, and it's such a perfect energy exchange. 1 minute of your time for the free content I upload. I appreciate it so much. So thank you for being here, generous souls. Thank you for hitting the like button, for subscribing, for your beautiful feedback in the comments. I love to hear if this resonated for you, and I will see you next time. Lots of love. Bye. Hello Pile 2, welcome to your reading. You have chosen the Good Karma Tarot with this stunning piece of lapis shaped as an ankh. And we are asking today, what do you need to know about your person? We're going to go really deep. We're going to get all the details. So stay tuned. We're going to use oracle cards. We're going to use charms. And of course there will be an extended reading today. So when we do these readings, the intention is to pull forward the information that you're either not seeing, either that is hidden from you, or that, you know, needs to be acknowledged. And we're tapping into your person's higher self for that information. So take a moment to hold your person in mind. And also you can ask for a sign if that feels good to you. A sign can be anything at all. It could be an object, a symbol, a phrase, a goddess or a deity. It could be numbers or a song or a name, an animal, whatever feels right to you. There is no right or wrong. And we're going to take this time with a shuffling, because this is a new deck, just to set the intention, you know, that you want to receive the messages that you need for the highest good of yourself and this connection. If the sign doesn't come through in your reading, pay attention, you know, throughout the day, because it may show up for you in other ways. You know, Spirit will always communicate with us in a way that it is able to. You know, it might send a message through another person that can receive it where you can't. It might show you images somewhere online, you know, but what you need to know to get that reassurance will come to you in the right way, in the way that you can receive it. So, pile 2, what do you need to know about your person to help you move forward for the highest good of yourself and this connection? I'm really in love with this deck. This is a gift that someone sent me. Thank you so much. I'm sorry I've not been around to read for you guys this week. I've been feeling a little bit strange. I'm halfway through the consciousness fusion on the Skio, which can be a bit heavy going. If you guys don't know what that is, I'll put a link to it down below. It's a treatment on a quantum feedback machine that's intended to bring you closer to your own soul and your soul's truth. It's the second time I've had this treatment. I highly recommend it. It's been profoundly impactful for me. Hence I'm doing it a second time. But it is a bit heavy going. That's why I've not been here. I only read when I really feel the impulse to. And I know that means there's sometimes gaps in me posting videos, but it does mean you get the best of me, you know, that I only do it when I really feel able to. I don't force myself just to get a video out. Okay. I'm going to pull some cards first to see who your person is, and also to look at the context of this situation. So we have the 2 of Wands. We've got the 9 of Cups in reverse, the Knight of Swords, Judgment. I feel we need to get one more. And the 5 of Wands in reverse, the situation. We've got the Star, the Page of Pentacles in reverse, the Eight of Swords, which came out in exactly the same spot in pile 1, the Magician in reverse, and the King of Wands in reverse. That also came out in the same spot in pile 1. How peculiar. Okay, so your person may come across as being someone that's very decisive, very action oriented. I'm just going to get some more oracle cards as we go. But they do suffer with a great deal of emotional imbalance and distortion. We've got grief, service and confusion. From the Love Oracle, I love this deck. It's annoying that it's come sort of bended because it doesn't sit on the table straight, but I guess I'll put it under some heavy books. We've got Galadali, George Michael, oh my God, I love George Michael, and Ricky Martin. Oh, this deck is such a funny deck. Okay, and from the Archetypes deck, we've got the shadow attribute of the Prince, the shadow attribute of the Queen, interesting, and the shadow attribute of the Scribe. Let me just check that these are all in shot. Yes, they are. Okay, so yeah, your person may appear very decisive, very controlled, but actually they have a great deal of emotional imbalance within them, and so they may be an air sign, someone that prefers to focus on the logical, rational aspects of any conversation or circumstance. You know, they could be in Gemini, Libra or Aquarius, but this is someone that's slowly waking up to a more spiritual life. Their soul is definitely being called, and they're experiencing a lot of bizarre signs and synchronicities around you which make them very uncomfortable. They can't explain these things, and so they try and avoid them and ignore them. Now, I'm hearing that this person may appear like they're playing games, but that certainly isn't their intention. This person, they might even be slightly on the autism spectrum, because I feel like they miss a lot of the social or romantic cues that have presented in this connection. They can also be very, very defensive and easily triggered or offended. There's definitely a very fragile sense of self, very fragile self-esteem here. They're probably very accomplished in their work life. You know, this is someone that's very diligent and hardworking, but tends to avoid, you know, issues where emotional intensity is required. Now, we've got the grief energy here, and there's this lady is holding a dog. Perhaps they literally have lost a pet recently, but I am feeling that, you know, the dog is a representation of loyalty and companionship, and this person has lost people they cared about before, and so they are somewhat, it's very similar energies to pile 1, but for different reasons. They're very nervous to open their heart again, you know, because they don't want to be hurt, they don't want to experience that grief, and so this is someone that kind of chooses to remain somewhat of an island as far as people are concerned. They've already convinced themselves that, you know, they've got everything they need within them. They don't necessarily need close friends. They don't need close relationships. They feel much safer when they only have themselves to take care of. Now, the situation, I think, probably has looked fairly hopeful, and then it feels like your person just pulled back quite suddenly. We've got the Star here, which is a lot of wishful thinking and kind of, you know, looking to a more optimistic outlook. But when the Page of Pentacles comes up in reverse, and I'm noticing how this person's got all of these, you know, this big heavy stack of books that they need to study. And what time did it say on their watch? 5:30. So 5:30 is the time on the watch. I don't know if that's relevant for you guys. But yeah, it feels to me here like, you know, with this being blocked, this person may be bogged down with work, studying, you know, they may not have the time or inclination to even think about how to move this connection forward. And this is where that kind of maybe they're slightly on the spectrum thing came up, because they genuinely didn't recognize that this would have been quite triggering for you, that 1 minute they're super hot and keen and interested, and the next minute they've just kind of vanished off the face of the earth. I do think they have genuinely been distracted by lots of very mundane, practical tasks or things that are demanding their attention. There's this energy of being in service here, and I do get the impression that perhaps your person is working in the medical sector or caring for others, but for sure there's some studying happening here or a distraction that's career oriented. We've also got the Eight of Swords. You know, this person has a lot of limiting beliefs, and it's because they're so very much in the mind and disconnected from their heart space. You know, they don't feel very powerful in this connection. I feel like both of you have walked on eggshells with one another, and neither one of you has wanted to lead. I'm hearing that you've got a very traditional perspective, and you see it as the masculine's role to come forward and make the offers and set up plans. And so when this person hasn't done that, you know, you've completely backed off and shut down, and they've just thought, oh, well, I've not heard from them anyway, they're probably not interested. You know, it's completely gone over their head that maybe they could have put another foot forward and figured this out. But it does feel like they got majorly distracted by something else going on in their life at a practical level. This person is prone to running rings around their own mind. You know, they can be very insecure. They can get very confused about what's real and what isn't. And because they have this emotional imbalance and this disconnect from their emotional self, you know, they're only using the mind to inform their decision and their perspective. And that means they only have part of the picture. Now, we have got confusion here as well. And again, you know, with this Eight of Swords, I really feel that this person doesn't realize there's a greater opportunity for kind of growth in this connection. And they genuinely don't recognize your interests. So it does feel like two people have kind of, again, walked on eggshells. You know, it may look like they're playing games, but I really don't think that's the case. This person doesn't come across as being that manipulative or that aware. And even though they're very intellectual, they're not relationship smart. You know, they don't know how to play these games and to try and get the upper hand. I feel like this is someone, you know, that just goes way over their head. We have got the shadow attribute of the Prince, which says using power for self-aggrandizement, and Queen in shadow attribute is becomes arrogant when authority is challenged, controlling and demanding. And so, you know, I do feel like your person, because they are very much of the mind, you know, they very much prize their intellect, their kind of smart and controlled demeanor. You know, this person likes facts over intuition. And they don't like to be challenged. Again, they've got a very fragile sense of self, a very weak ego or fragile sense of self-esteem. And so they are very easily triggered and probably don't respond well to any perceived questioning, challenge, or even constructive criticism. We've also got the shadow attribute of the scribe, altering facts or plagiarizing others' work. So I'm hearing that this person's particularly inspired by someone in the public eye. They want to be like them. That's really positive that they're inspired by someone else's example. But I'm hearing this is also revealing the fact that they don't know how to be themselves. It's easier to try and copy someone else, to try and aspire to be like someone else, than to take the time to figure out who they really are. So it does feel like a person who only walks the surface of their life. You know, they're not very good at digging deep. They miss the finer or more nuanced details of communication and interactions with other people. And they're definitely very, very focused, you know, on their own world, on achieving and on making decisions about how to move forward. I have to be honest with you, there are a lot of independent energies here, except for the Five of Wands where you see these two people back to back. I just don't think this person has space in their life right now for a relationship. It certainly doesn't seem that their mind is moving in that direction. And whilst they wish to communicate with you, they are anticipating some kind of conflict around that, and that makes them feel very defensive and inhibits them from taking that step forward. It says, everything in love is invention. Create, soar over the ordinary. It is by being in the shadow that one emits the most light. Be immortal rather than available. So this is a really interesting card to come through here. You know, we mustn't forget that Dali is a surrealist, and this is a very creative energy, which actually dramatically contradicts the very rigid, boxed in kind of intellectual perspective that your person has. It says be immortal rather than available. Everything in love is an invention. And so I do feel, especially with these candelabras here illuminating things, you know, this person doesn't yet recognize that strength is actually identifying one's own weaknesses. Remember, we saw that they're, you know, very easily triggered when challenged. I don't think that this person has the capacity for growth that you have at this moment in time. Again, these are very similar energies to par one, but I feel very different circumstances. George Michael, always wake them up before you go. Pay no heed to careless whispers, and family are band members. I'm just feeling into the energy of this. So there's a George Michael song, and I'm struggling to remember the name of it, but it's along the lines of them having a teacher and them being, you know, both grateful and very intimidated by that approach. I just feel like, especially that this family or band members, there's 2 infinity symbols. In fact, it comes up on every card here. I don't know if that's intentional or not. I don't think it was on all the others. I've not read the guidebook for this deck yet. But, you know, it says family are your band members. This person could be kind of tangled up in a family business or something along those lines. But the fact that this infinity symbol has come up here does make me think that, again, you know, with that judgment card coming through, that they're becoming aware that maybe there's some kind of soul family connection here between you two. And again, that kind of defies all of their intellectual beliefs, and they're not really comfortable with that idea, but they also can't shake that as being something they need to pay attention to. It says sex is like exercise. Practice and discipline are essential. The crowd can go wild, but love is something only your secret heart can know. Keep your friends like your bathing suits, tight. So you may have found that this person was very cold when it came to physical intimacy. It says it's like exercise, practice and discipline are essential. And so for me, this really reaffirms, you know, how closed off that person's heart space. And it may have felt like they were kind of going through the motions or not really connecting with you at an intimate emotional level in that respect. You know, it says love is something only your secret heart can know. So, you know, even they are not aware of the secrets in their own heart because there's too much pain there that they don't want to disturb. Keep your friends like your bathing suits, tight. I love that. That's so funny. But, you know, I think this person is very loyal once they've made friends, and they're not really sure where they stand with you or what you're expecting from this situation. Again, I feel like you've played it quite cool as well. But I do think there is a desire here to kind of reach out and proceed. They're just not putting the same kind of energy of importance on it that perhaps you did. I think they've very much underestimated what's happening here. So we've also got the Fool, got the 10 of Swords in reverse, the 3 of Swords in reverse, the 6 of Wands in reverse, and the Hierophant. And clarifying, we've got Temperance in reverse, Strength in reverse, the High Priestess, the Ace of Cups, and the King of Cups. So I do feel like this person's heart is shut down so much that they are very much protected from a lot of the more intense emotional energies that may present in this connection. And even though that's an imbalance and a distortion which can inhibit, you know, real intimacy, it also allows them to be a lot more innocent, naive and kind of brave in their kind of dealings with the opposite sex or with romance, or it might be same sex, but in their dealings with, you know, potential romantic partners. They don't necessarily recognize the depths of their own pain. And so it may be perfectly obvious to you, knowing some of their history, that this person has a lot of water under the bridge, a lot of very painful experiences having occurred in their life, which would certainly create a trauma response in them somewhere. But it definitely feels like they're completely oblivious to the need to actually investigate and heal that, or of the impact it may have had on them. I'm hearing this person can be quite stubborn and prideful, and all the really egoic energies that come with that energy of leadership or success are very kind of prominent for this person. But you kind of see that these shadow aspects were born of their experience, and this person is so emotionally inept that they may think that's just kind of psychobabble, you know, that they don't take that kind of stuff seriously. They're so elevated above their own pain and their own emotional detachment, you know, that they are quite naive when it comes to facing themselves and who they really are. When the Ten of Swords and the Three of Swords come up in reverse, this really demonstrates someone that is very, very hurt. You know, someone that has a lot of unresolved grief and unresolved heartbreak and pain. And yet, you know, even though intuitively this keeps prodding at them and they're aware that maybe they need to face it, because there's none of that emotional consideration built into this situation, they're not really identifying, you know, the need to bring that back into balance. Overall, I do think they believe in love, even though it's not something they feel. And when someone doesn't feel, it's very hard to understand what real love is or what it means, or to identify it when it occurs. So this person's very prone to making very pragmatic decisions in love. You know, does this stack up financially? Are we in the right area? Is it practical? You know, and they don't necessarily believe that emotion alone can support a healthy connection. They're very much the sort of person that needs to dot all the I's and cross all the T's and make sure that there's, I'm even hearing like a checklist of things. And because they don't allow their emotions to interfere with this decision-making process, it does mean that they often reject or seemingly don't recognize the value in some of the connections they've had. I'm hearing that they don't believe they could be successful in a very emotionally intense connection as well, and that they actually tend to avoid people that demonstrate high level emotional depths. They're very, what's the word? They're very overwhelmed when someone demonstrates a lot of kind of rushing or out of control emotions. And I'm hearing that, you know, whilst you're definitely more emotional than them, you're not necessarily the sort of person that, you know, is going to face them with an outpouring of emotion. But I feel this has come through because this really does reveal one of their greatest weaknesses, in that they generally run from emotional intensity. The Hierophant, clarified by the King of Cups, is really interesting energy. Now, we're in the year of the Hierophant. This is a number 5 year, or it was at the time of uploading, which is 2021. And the Hierophant is all about authority and learning from authority. When it's clarified by the King of Cups, you know, the King of Cups is Scorpio energy. It's the master of emotion. And so you're being asked not to be too disheartened by their apparent emotional detachment. This is something that they are going to have to face and step into. And I'm really drawn to look at the watch on this person again. What time does it show? How would they see it if they were looking at it from their own watch? So that's also 4:15. 4:15 is the time on the watch. I don't know if these numbers are relevant to you guys. So yeah, it does feel like you're being reassured that this person is being guided towards learning about the emotional depths. You know, they're very cut off from that at the moment because of grief. And I'm hearing this person may have been adopted or raised as an only child, you know, doesn't necessarily see the value in emotional investments. And this is something that, you know, they're about to be triggered to face. So if you've kind of thought to yourself, well, you know, I am this emotionally deep person and maybe I'm too much for them, I do feel like we generally attract into our life exactly what we need. And, you know, again, this person's being triggered to acknowledge both their emotional and intuitive bodies. So really interesting energies coming through here. What else do you need to know about this person? Pile 2. We've got the Crone, release. We've got the Goddess, transcendence, crystal ball, insight, and the Holy Stone protection. So for those of you looking for symbols, we've got poppies, we've got a robin, we've got the planets here, including Saturn. We have the swan, the owl, and I believe there's some dragons and an angel over here. Obviously, you had the lion already. So let me get some more of these chakra wisdom cards. Actually, we'll get these ones. Where's my tarot cards gone? Oh, there. So to clarify, the crone, please. Death in reverse. 8 of Pentacles. The World. And the 2 of Cups. So I believe you're being protected from this connection as it is. You know, you're guided to release this person so that the transformation that needs to occur can take place. You know, lots of work is happening behind the scenes. You know, you need to work on being a goddess. Right now, you are learning to transcend your own shadow aspects and to come into truth of who you really are. And when we see a single swan on its own, we call it a demi-swan. We literally refer to it as half a swan, because swans are a symbol of an eternal love. You know, they literally mate for life. And there's some little bumblebees as well around this swan's head. So when a swan is on its own, we say it's only half of itself. So this would indicate to me that this is definitely a soulmate or twin flame connection. But your role right now as the divine feminine in this is to focus on your half of being. This is where your work is. And there's a sewing machine depicted. I'm hearing this is about stitching yourself back together, you know, literally putting everything together again at the seams. Crystal ball and insight. Clarified by the world. I'm really drawn to how this kind of river, this little brook, this sort of babbling brook flows very gently around this tree trunk, this crystal ball, and it's all in the dark. And yet, you know, we can still see things quite clearly, and it references this insight. Your person has a much deeper level of awareness than they're currently even able to access or acknowledge themselves. We had the High Priestess out for them as well, and I do feel that your person is actually very gifted when it comes to their higher senses and psychic practices. You know, they literally have this potential to make real waves in the world. So I do feel like you can trust in their wisdom, even though it seems non-apparent at this point in your connection. This is such interesting energy, because I feel that even though you're magnetized to your person, they don't tick the boxes of what you thought your person should be like. And that's to say, you always wanted someone that was worldly, mature, spiritually inclined, you know, philosophical. And you're finding that this person's kind of, you know, by the book, very straight-laced, very pragmatic, appears to be somewhat narrow-minded. And so this is coming through, I think, to reassure you that they have access to much more insight and higher perspective than you would realize at this stage in time. They just haven't woken up to it yet. Again, with protection here and the Holy Stone being clarified by the 2 of Cups, you know, this connection isn't meant to come together right now, and you're being protected from that happening, because again, some transformation still needs to occur in each of you. You're guided to focus on yourself and the work you're doing both personally and professionally, and you need to release this person so each of you can grow at your own pace. I'm hearing that if you had a relationship with this person right now, it presents itself as very karmic. That's to say, it would be very dysfunctional, because the energies between you are so distorted. You'll reach on such a different page that despite that strong magnetism that exists between you, you wouldn't find a great deal of common ground, or certainly not enough to kind of knit you both together in the way that would work. We've also got beauty, beginnings, and awakening. So I'm deeply and profoundly beautiful. I cherish all cycles in my life, and I am joyously awake and aware and ready for anything. So, you know, for me, this is about focusing on yourself. This person certainly sees you as very, very attractive, But, you know, when we talk about new beginnings, what we're seeing here is this winter scene with a bare tree. You know, there's a lot of growth that is yet to occur, and you need to honour and respect the cycle that's presenting. Focus on your own awakening, your own awareness, and recognise, and we've got little butterfly here, recognise that it's that growth that actually prepares you, that gets you ready for what's next. So let's get some guidance cards as well. I want to get some more of these love oracle cards. They're so cool. We've got Jay-Z, we've got the Marquise de Sade, and we have Courtney Love. What other cards do we need? I'm going to get some more archetype cards for guidance. Of course, we'll get some charms. We've got the light attribute of the rescuer, light attribute of the athlete, and the light attribute of the gambler. And from the chakra wisdom cards, we've got quest, miracle, passion, and trickery. And from the crystal Oversoul cards, just to give you an idea of what crystals you can be working with, we've got 36 garnet, number 55 cavensite and apophyllite. I don't have either of those to show you, unfortunately, but apophyllite's accessible, and dambrite, I don't have that either. I'll show you the garnet though, bear with me. So this is how we normally buy rough garnets. You can see this is a very beautifully cut. They're actually quite dark in colour. Obviously, if you get gem quality garnet, it's a lot more red and clear. But that's one of the stones you need. Now, the light attribute of the rescuer provides strength and support to others in crisis, acts out of love with no expectation of reward. Ooh, let me just get some of these as well. A couple have fallen out. This one says Daddy's Princess. Also the web fell out here. Let's just get these. What have we got here? This is a positive sign. The moth. P.S. I love you. Living in perpetual sin. I believe. Wizard in training. No idea. The writer. And this tiny one, which is it just says love. I don't know why that's not focusing, but we've also got a tiny piece of turquoise. So that might be another crystal you can use. It's protective, turquoises. So yeah, the light attribute of the rescue asks you to act out of love with no expectation of reward. And this for me really symbolises the unconditionally loving nature of a twin flame connection. And so you're being cautioned against mindfully observing your true agenda before taking action. You know, often we think we're doing things to help other people, when in truth we're hoping for a certain impression to be created about ourselves, or we're hoping for some reciprocity, or we're hoping that that's going to build intimacy. You know, we have a concealed or hidden agenda. So you're being asked to pay attention to how you do support and love others, especially during crisis, and to make sure that this is coming from an authentic place. I'm hearing that you can often get disappointed when you give and give and give, and you find that people don't appear gracious or reciprocal, and you know that truthfully identifies that you're not giving for the sake of giving unconditionally, or giving to get something back. So you really need to be honest with yourself about this. The light attribute of the athlete says dedication to transcending physical limits, including handicaps, development of personal willpower and strength of spirit. And again, we have this beautiful moth here, which is a symbol of transformation. Now, I want you to think about the moth as a creature that, even though it's drawn out of the dark towards the light and it's symbolic of that metamorphosis, the moth is also quite a destructive creature. You know, it will nibble away at our lovely woolen garments, and it can actually create a lot of hassle, and it's very difficult to get rid of. And so for me, this refers to maybe some of your habits, you know, transcending your own limits, including handicaps. So the ways in which you perhaps are being destructive, which can self-sabotage your attempts at making improvements in your life. And it says here, you know, this is about developing personal willpower and strength of spirit. And this is a positive sign. You know, you can trust that this is the path you're on. That when the spider web comes up, you know, for me, the spider is a very industrious creature, and it works alone. It creates everything it needs to support self, including the web, which helps it, you know, not just have somewhere to stay, but to capture the foods it needs for sustenance. So I do feel like you're being driven towards that independence and solitude. We've got Daddy's girl here. Sorry, Daddy's princess. So, you know, there may be this energy of, you know, waiting for someone else to take care of you. If you have a very close relationship with your father, you know, we did say that you, in the beginning, that you have this very traditional approach to relationships where you expect the masculine to do all the work. And when that masculine isn't coming up in that energy, this rescuer energy, you know, which, by the way, the shadow attribute of that is assumes the rescued will reciprocate, keeps the rescued one needy, you know, and this is the kind of energy you want a man or your person to show up in. You know, there's a part of you that feels they have a role to fulfill, and that when you're fulfilling yours, they should be fulfilling theirs. So you're being guarded against the shadow aspect of this so that you can bring it up for renewal and to identify it. P.S. I love you. You know, your person does really, really care. We've got living in perpetual sin. Now, the white rose, pardon me, is actually a symbol of purity. The fact that it's coming up suggesting sin, again, I think speaks to me about maybe the very traditional nature of your expectations. You know, perhaps you don't believe in, I don't know, chasing men or or the opposite sex or the same sex. Oh my God, I'm trying so hard to be gender inclusive, but I just get tangled up. I'm sorry. But you know, this suggests that there's a naivety or innocence about how you approach connections, and you're very reluctant to move forward without that sturdy commitment and traditional security in place. You're being asked to believe in the nature of this connection, even though it hasn't presented as stable, because there is a lot of passion and a lot of potential here, and certainly there's a deeper soul lesson. The light attribute of the gambler says willingness to follow intuition even when others doubt you. And so if you've been feeling very crazy about what's happening, everyone's saying, look, forget this person, you know, move on, all the signs are there that they're not interested. You know, you're being asked to trust in your own intuition and to focus on your psychic development. You don't need to know what will happen next, but you're very much guided to write about or journal what you're experiencing, because there's a lot of understanding about love that will come forward throughout that process. And again, you know, this turquoise asks you to focus also on protection. You do have a very special mission here, you know, and you can trust in the miraculous and magical nature of this connection. There is a passionate connection here, but your person isn't currently in a position to receive all of your light. And, you know, at the moment, both of your hearts are playing tricks on you, and everything isn't as it seems. Remember, again, we had this confusion over here. Jay-Z asks you to avoid one-off deals or make sure they're really worth it. It says the right partner is the one who can match you and then some. Who's going to help you run this town tonight? So, you know, you need to just avoid these kind of one-off dates. I think this is saying, you know, make sure someone is really worth it before stepping away from this connection. And the Marquis de Sade says it's always by way of pain that one arrives at pleasure. Either kill me or take me as I am, because I'll be damned if I ever change. Certain souls may seem harsh to others, but it's just a way of caring and feeling more deeply. So, you know, I think this asks you to be aware of one another's differences as well, and also to recognize the pleasure and the gift of the lessons that come through pain. Courtney Love says, if rock stars are like leaders of a religious cult, then be the unvirgin Mary. Be more than human, be a force of nature. Be ambitious. It doesn't matter if you don't know where you're going. And so, again, there might be some religious beliefs or some very traditional beliefs that keep you stuck here, and you're being asked to kind of, you know, Step into your own truth. Be more than human. To recognize that religion is a thing that was created by man. You know, that's not to say that God doesn't exist, but what we read about God, you know, what's presented about God is all channeled by man, and you've got to feel into this for your own truth. Be the unvirgin Mary. You know, it says living in perpetual sin. There's definitely a message here about how maybe you shame yourself, you know, for having desires that are outside the boundaries of what you've been taught to believe. So I'm going to get one final card for you before we take this to the extended. And in the extended, we're going to take a look at this person's thoughts and feelings. I'm going to use the messages cards to go deeper as well. Purification. My energy field is being cleansed of all that I do not need. So, you know, blow away the cobwebs. Take responsibility for your protection. That's come up again. And also recognize that purification can be uncomfortable. It moves us out of our comfort zone. When we release that what doesn't serve us, we have to make some uncomfortable sacrifices sometimes. So I really hope this was helpful for you, pile 2. I'm going to move this over to the extended. If you would like to join me there, the link is in the description box below. But thank you so much for joining me here. And a huge big thanks for those of you that took the time to watch 1 minute of my commercials and adverts. That really does make the greatest difference to my channel, and it's such a perfect energy exchange. I appreciate you guys that do that for me so much. Thank you for hitting the like button. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for all your beautiful comments. I love to hear your feedback in the comments section, and I will see you next time. Lots of love. Bye. Hello, pile 3. Welcome to your reading. You have chosen the Bumbleberry Hollows deck. This beautiful piece of Caribbean calcite. I'm so excited to read with this deck. It's a new one I bought for myself. Independently created deck. It's so very beautiful. So good choice, pile 3. Okay, we are asking today, what do you need to know about your person? We're going to get all the nitty-gritty details about what's going on between you and them so that you can better understand how to move forward. And these are the things that either, you know, are beneath the surface, beyond your awareness, or that you're not acknowledging. So take a moment to breathe deep and hold your person in mind. And you can also ask for a sign. A sign can be anything at all. It could be a god, a goddess, a deity, an object, a symbol, a phrase, a song, a name, an animal, anything that works for you. There's no right or wrong sign. And you may find that your sign doesn't just appear in the reading, but it may appear elsewhere. You may find that as you go about your day, this sign pops up in other ways for you. So take your time choosing. And on that note, just before I started this reading, this pile, I went to the loo and there was a queen bee on the floor in my bathroom. Now, none of the windows were open, so it must have come through the extractor fan, and it was rendered immobile because as it had come through the extractor fan, it had got tangled up in some cobweb. And so all of its wings and its feet were all kind of stuck together with this spider's web. And so I very gently picked it up and I brought it into my kitchen. And it was pretty scared, as you would be when some ginormous creature comes towards you. So I tried to settle it with some honey, whilst I used a tiny paintbrush to try and remove the cobwebs from this queen bee's wings and feet. And it wasn't taking very kindly to my interference, even though it was stuck. And my guide said to me in this moment, this is a sign for your reading. Now, I was thinking about what this might mean. Now, a queen bee is a leader in the community. It could be a leader in your family, but, you know, it's someone that is proud and in charge. And the fact that this bumblebee, this queen bee, despite its predicament, was very unwilling to accept my help. It was afraid of my help. And so I believe the message here is to encourage you to seek support despite your fears, whether it's pride or fear or anxiety or something else standing in your way. You're being guided that no matter your position or role as a leader, we all need help sometimes. So if you chose the bumblebee as your sign, then that would have been a very profound message for you to receive. Let me know in the comments if that resonated for you. But even before we've started the reading, I felt that I needed to share that little story. As it turned out, I managed to get all the cobwebs off the Bumblebee, and it eventually flew away safe and sound. So you definitely need to seek support, even if it's scary, and trust that it's what you need at this time. You can't do it all on your own sometimes, no matter how strong, capable and successful and controlled you are. So what does your person, what do you need to know about your person and this connection? This is a new deck, so I'm going to give it a really good shuffle. We're going to get the oracle cards out. We're going to get the charms as well, and there will be an extended reading today. I apologise, I've not been around this week. I've been feeling a bit off kilter, and so I've not really felt in the mood to do readings, and I do only do these readings when I feel the impulse to do so, which is why I'm so inconsistent. I know that some of you get frustrated that I don't post regularly or any kind of schedule, but it does mean that, you know, you really do get me at my best, because it's not something that I ever force myself to do. But let's do this. I'm going to pull some cards first, just to get an idea of who your person is, and to get an idea of the situation or the context of the situation you two are in currently. So we've got the Page of Cups, the King of Swords. Aren't these decks adorable? And look, the Bumblebee showing up for you and the honey there already. We've got the Chariot in reverse. We've got Justice in reverse. And we've got the Ace of Wands. We've got the Empress in reverse. The Eight of Cups in reverse. The Hermit. The Five of Wands. And the Five of Pentacles in reverse. So I'm going to get some oracle cards as well. From the Chakra Wisdom Oracle, we've got Victim, we've got Impatience, and we have Dissipating. What else am I getting from the Archetypes deck? We've got the Light Attribute of the Fool, the Light Attribute of the Messiah, and the Shadow Attribute of Lover. And from the Love Oracle, I love this deck. There's loads of like random celebrities and famous people in it. We've got Lord Byron. We've got Britney Spears. And we've got Giacomo Casanova. So for those of you looking for symbols, so far we've got masks, rabbits, we've got a snake, we've got cats, a bear, a lamb, a tiger, we've got cherry pie, we've got mushrooms, a canary, a squirrel and a dragon, an acorn. I think that'll be enough for going on with. Obviously you can see them as they come out. But I want to start with your person. Your person's probably younger than you, and yet they are an old soul on young shoulders. They are incredibly intelligent and well-educated, although I'm hearing this may be self-educated. This is someone that, you know, takes a great deal of pride in their intellect, and probably an avid reader, or very worldly when it comes to international affairs and what's what. You know, this is a very smart, intelligent person, but it definitely feels that they're younger than their potential for conversation actually reveals. And so even though they are intellectually very mature, very smart, they don't have a great deal of emotional intelligence. We've also got the Chariot, and this is someone whose life feels very much out of control. They're dealing with some kind of very toxic and difficult karma right now that feels a tremendous struggle to resolve, and they can't shake this feeling that they're very much out of alignment with who they're supposed to be and where they're supposed to be going in life. Now this acorn really stands out because it comes up twice for me here. So they're very focused on their own growth, but it's not the kind of spiritual growth that maybe you are concentrated on. This person's just growing in every direction in general as a human being. They're trying to figure out the truth of who they are and what they want and where they're meant to be going in life. And there's a lot of confusion around this. I'm hearing that your person can be a bit of a dick. And, you know, they sometimes, their immaturity sometimes catches up with them when it comes to dealing with situations where that emotional layer of maturity is required. There's a tiny little caterpillar here. I'm going to bring this card up for you. There's a tiny little caterpillar here that you can see. It's a blue caterpillar, which is the colour of truth. And again, with justice in reverse, we see that's something they're challenged with. And there's the energy of impatience about trying to figure out who they are and where they're meant to be going. So there's a lot of distractions in this person's life right now. It feels like they're at the beginning of their kind of adult life adventure. So perhaps this is a young adult, you know, someone that may be still in their late teens or early 20s, still trying to figure out who they are. Pardon me. It's definitely a throat blockage there. So the throat chakra, when it's blocked, is someone that struggles to communicate at an authentic level. And I'm hearing this is because they don't want to reveal their own weaknesses. You know, they recognize that they may be smarter than others in some respects, but they do understand that they don't necessarily have, what's the word, all the information when it comes to dealing with emotional depth. That has been a consistent pattern in all of today's readings, but I feel like your person hasn't yet got their wings. So they feel very stuck where they are at life in the moment. And I'm hearing that they're actually quite hard on themselves, that despite their young age, they seem fairly accomplished, but they feel like they should be way ahead of the game and they're not. So they put a lot of pressure on themselves. Now, as far as this connection's concerned, the first card out here was the Empress in reverse, which is distorted feminine energy. You know, this is someone that's out of balance with their emotions, out of balance with their own intuition, and still struggles to feel their way in the world. And they're not seeing the value of going within. They're not seeing the value of emotional communication in this situation. And so we have this Hermit energy, which leads me to believe there's been a long gap in communication, or one or both of you has pulled back, withdrawn from this connection, and is taking time out to figure things out. But the mushrooms here really demonstrate that emotional growth. Remember, mushrooms need damp conditions in which to grow, and of course water represents the energy of emotion. So I do think that this person may have felt that, you know, the heat of this connection, the emotional intensity was too much for them, and they needed to withdraw, kind of reflect on that and figure it out for themselves. They do seem predisposed to playing games. You know, there's a lot of thorny kind of plants around this energy as well, and this is very much a protective mechanism. This also came out in pile 1. Lots of very synchronistic energies in all piles today, but also with the 5 of Pentacles in reverse, I'm hearing that both of you feel very rejected. You know, where you're both trying to maintain control in this connection, and you're both trying to you know, I think, I'm trying to think of the right way to describe this. This is like two people that refuse to show their hand of cards. They're waiting for the other person to make a move, and because no one gives, it kind of stagnates. And so we just have this feeling of both of you being left out in the cold and playing this very hard tug of war. And I'm really guided that these pies are empty. There's no fruit in them. You know, like it kind of feels like there isn't enough emotional sustenance in this connection to help it continue moving forward. It feels like you hit a dead end. It feels like there's kind of nowhere to go from here unless someone lets their guard down. And I'm hearing that neither one of you is prepared to do that at this stage. And your person is still very much of the opinion that, you know, they don't want to give their power away, and you're feeling the same as well. You don't want to take the risk of being the one to step up and say, I feel something beautiful here, you know. So I do think this is two people that may have come together in a very casual way. It was meant to be kind of fun, and no one is prepared to reveal the deeper layers of emotion that are beneath the surface. I feel like both of you get impatient with the other because you're always trying to prod and poke each other to kind of act a certain way so you can get the sustenance and the reassurance and the security you need. And again, neither one of you is giving in that respect. You're both holding back. And so you may both be triggered in this rejection energy by the feeling that this connection continues to dissipate. It seems to just kind of slowly fade out. And because neither one of you wants to be responsible for grasping the reins and pulling it back, it literally does just fade, and you know, the distance between you becomes more and more palpable. Hold on, I've just dropped some cards. The light attribute of the Fool: fearlessly revealing emotion, helping people laugh at absurdity and hypocrisy. And now we see this mask here, and you know, behind the mask this person is sobbing. Now, even though this has come up as the light attribute, what I'm hearing is, again, your person does have an awareness that, you know, they need to kind of be vulnerable in a relationship, but they don't know how to do that, which is why, again, we see this hermit energy of that withdrawal in order to grow, so that they can kind of figure out their way through this. And look how miserable this kitty cat looks. It's got a very sad look on its face. It's not happy with the state of affairs. It feels very triggered. And we've also got the light attribute of the Messiah, serving humanity with humility. And I think this reveals the purity in both of your hearts. You know, deep down you are both good people, even though you're not entirely comfortable demonstrating that, because you don't want to be perceived as weak. And so I feel like whilst you're both quite altruistic, you have a tendency to kind of serve quietly and not, you know, necessarily reveal this about yourself. Neither one of you wants to be perceived as sentimental. Now, the shadow attribute of the Lover says obsessive person that harms others, self-destructive devotion. Now, remember, we're asking what you need to know about your person, but I feel like this applies to both of you. And, you know, when it says obsessive passion that harms others, and there's some karma here, I do feel like maybe your person isn't available as they first led you to believe. This could be connected to that mask they're wearing. And, you know, you're feeling quite guilty and ashamed about having, you know, these thoughts and feelings around this person, because it feels like a sin to demean your own values when it comes to monogamy. I do think your person feels that too. And so this might be another reason for that dissipating energy, even though it's very triggering. In this one, we actually see a detective on the screen kind of snooping around. And so it does feel to me like you're both aware that, you know, the heat is on and that you can't sneak around in the way that you had been. And I don't think either one of you intended for things to go this far. And now you've kind of arrived here and all of these feelings are growing. You both kind of pulled back because of this karmic situation. Lord Byron: be mad, bad and dangerous to know. Love will find a way through paths where wolves fear to prey. Friendship is love without his wings. And isn't that interesting that we saw this caterpillar here, you know, that hasn't got its wings yet? And again, remember that acorn is a symbol of growth. You know, you plant the seed and wait for that growth to happen. So this does feel like a new beginning for your person, but it definitely feels like, you know, love will find a way through the paths where wolves fear to prey. Friendship is love without wings. This suggests to me that you will each move in a direction where the karmic can't follow. You will literally ascend above those low vibrational energies, and that right now, you know, until your person's got their wings, friendship is pretty much all that's on offer. As I said, your person does feel a bit sorry for themselves. And I'm hearing that this is what may have been a bone of contention between you, because you don't necessarily feel sorry for yourself. You feel sorry for the person involved in this situation karmically, and that you've kind of wronged somebody. And so it does make you question their judgment, that they're kind of very self-focused in this respect. And this reveals their immaturity. Britney Spears says here, pardon me, when gambling with love, hedge your bets. Take the risk of getting hurt, because being in love can be toxic, but the high is amazing. Trust your family to take care of you when you can't. Now we've got a snake here, which remember is a symbol of creation, a symbol of change, because snakes shed skin. But I think what's really powerful is it's saying take the risk of getting hurt. You know, yes, being in love can be toxic, but the high is amazing. And look, she's wearing this outfit here, which is a butterfly. It has wings, you know, so I'm thinking that everything is as it's meant to be. You can release guilt, you can release shame. You know, it's through this experience that your person's going to get their wings. And when it says trust your family to take care of you when you can't, for me, that's really connecting with the message that came through with the Queen Bee. You've got to seek support with this, and I feel you've been ultra secretive about it because of your shame, and you know, you may not want to concede or acknowledge what's been going on. When the Casanova card comes out, you know, we have to remember who Casanova was. He was a real ladies' man. You know, he was charming, he was flirty, but he often left these ladies high and dry. And again, he's taking off his mask. It says, be the flame, not the moth. Always be a free agent and promise fidelity to all. It's not destiny, it's opportunity. And I think this is what reveals your person's immaturity. You know, be the flame, not the moth. The moth is about transformation and growth and coming out of the dark into light. You know, always be a free agent, promise fidelity to all. It's not destiny, it's opportunity. And so I think this is what's been quite jarring for you, to recognize this about your person. You know, that they have this very immature perspective of relationships. They don't share the same values, and they're still figuring that out. And they may have been quite arrogant in their presentation of that. You know, they really do see themselves as being a very good catch. As I said, there's a lot of ego here to contend with, but the fact that there's also this distorted feminine energy, I'm hearing this affects you both. Now, I know you've been very impatient with them, but I'm hearing that this will kind of resolve itself as time moves forward. Again, you know, hedge your bets and take the risk. You are being asked to proceed, however, to proceed with caution and awareness, recognizing, you know, the energy that your person is currently presenting in, and that's something they still need to transcend. So 8 of Swords in reverse, 10 of Cups in reverse, Ace of Cups, 10 of Swords in reverse, the Star in reverse, 5 of Cups, the Knight of Swords, 6 of Swords in reverse, the World in reverse, and the 8 of Wands. So for those of you still looking for symbols, we've got a bird, we've got another cat, and we have a little baby lamb or goat. More mushrooms, we've got strawberries coming up twice for you guys. Let's get some more oracle cards as well. Abundance, completion, and forgiveness. So your person doesn't yet have the experience to recognize the wrong in their actions. You know, quite often young people, they barge into relationships without much awareness, and it's easy to hurt people when you haven't been on the receiving end of the same kind of pain. And so I do feel like your person genuinely doesn't understand how much they're cutting others, you know, with their insistence on filling many cups. We've got the 10 of Cups in reverse, clarified by the Knight of Swords, and there's this fish energy here that's being chopped up as well. We've also got lemons, garlic, chilies, and carrots. Are they peppers? An eggplant or aubergine. So, you know, when the 10 of Cups comes up reverse, this is someone who's very much not wanting to face commitment. They feel very compelled to charge forward with their life and to do what suits them, to follow their own truth. You know, this is about feeding themselves without much concern or consideration for how it affects others. Whilst they do have a deep and meaningful bond with you and really appreciate the love you two have shared, and they don't want to move away from that, they are also not recognizing the impact of their behaviors and of how this has turned your world and other people's worlds upside down. For sure, this feels like someone who hasn't yet learned to wield the knife in a safe way that doesn't hurt others. You know, even though they, as I said, they're quite intelligent, they haven't had enough experience to really develop that emotional empathy. And I'm hearing that they may have been raised in a very masculine environment where empathy and compassion weren't, you know, highly valued concepts. So this person doesn't necessarily feel very optimistic about this connection. They certainly recognize that you want more than them, and that it's all moved a little bit too quickly for them to feel comfortable. They're not seeing how this has hurt you and how it has hurt others. And I hate to see it, but I really don't think that they are taking responsibility for that. And so, you know, this cycle of change that you're in at the moment, I feel is kind of, you know, the connection as it exists right now is moving towards completion. And that even though there is a treasure trove of energy still to be discovered here, for now, it definitely feels like each of you needs to go separate ways. When forgiveness comes up, you know, and this rhino, I'm thinking how bullish a rhino is, you know, how it charges, it's got this thick defensive skin, and yet we see here this tiny little baby snuggled up with the rhino. And I think this is saying, you know, your person does have a softer side, but they've not really revisited that part of themselves since childhood. You know how lovely and loving and innocent children are, how pure they are. And then as they edge closer towards being young adults, they start to lose that sense of innocence. The ego comes into play, and they kind of get a bit hard around the edges dependent on what their life experience is. And so again, it feels like your person had some dramatic changes in and around kind of mid-childhood, say between the ages of 5, 6, 7 or 8. And that this has kind of led them to have a heart that's somewhat hardened to the need of others. And so it's not the case that they're cruel or they're bad or they're mean. They're just not seeing life from the same perspective as you. And so you are being asked to not judge them too harshly, and to recognize that sometimes we need to be cut ourselves to understand the pain that we inflict on others. And this person's definitely going to get a taste of their own medicine. But I do believe that this, you know, this connection for both of you has been a tremendous gift. And even though it's completed for now, this person isn't really leaving your life. It's like they're just stepping aside for the time being so that they can, you know, grow their wings, and that each of you can grow through this new knowledge. We've got the Magician, the King of Wands in reverse. That's been out for every pile. The Nine of Pentacles, the Two of Wands, and the King of Pentacles. Let's get some more cards, some oracle cards as well. So this is Serpent Power, Six-Rayed Star Unification, the Wand of Intention, and the Black Cat Psychism. So you've got two bears, and again one of these other little lammy goat things here. This is kind of a symbol of Adam and Eve as well. You know, you've got the apple tree there and the serpent. And this is called power. It's a number 19, which carries the energy of the sun. Now, the Magician and the sun together are very egoic energies. The Magician is all about that earthly incarnation, the focus on the material world. It also carries the energy of trickery, even though there's a great deal of spiritual depth beneath the surface. But when the serpent comes up, we have to remember that this whole situation is giving this person the power to transform and grow, even though it may have felt uncomfortable and it may have hurt. When the King of Wands comes up in reverse towards unification, it really demonstrates that this person isn't ready to step into spiritual maturity. They need to master their earthly bodies first. And whilst they're very much in control of their mental faculties, you know, again, they have to bring their emotional body back into balance. By the way, you've got Bumblebee and another mushroom here. And so it feels like they're not ready for that union energy, which you may feel more prepared for. Each of you has a role in this, but right now the energy is distorted. One of you is still in the dark and one of you is moving into the light, but you need to understand that you both reflect these shadow and light attributes back at one another. Your person is focused on filling their pies. They're focused on becoming someone. You know, this is their intention. And remember, we saw this wand, Ace of Wands energy here, which was very similar with that blue caterpillar. You know, this person's very self-focused. Their intention is to carve out a career for themselves, and they're very decisive about generating their own abundance. And I feel like this person simply doesn't feel equipped to have a relationship right now, because the Nine of Pentacles again is the energy of solitude, the need to build something before they can make an offer. When we bear in mind that the King of Pentacles is the energy of commitment and stability, you know, and they're making an offer of this full pie here, but it goes without saying that they've decided they need to earn the right to be present with someone like you. You know, they're recognizing that you are at a different stage in your life, and there's a feeling here that they need to catch up. Now, what's really interesting here is the Black Cat card, the Psychism. This is a 2-2 energy, which harks back to the energy of the High Priestess. We see the oak leaves here, which is very synchronistic given all of the acorns that came through for you. But the Black Cat is also a lucky symbol of intuition and good fortune. And so I do think this person has a psychic awareness beyond what they communicate. And they do recognize that there is something about this connection that keeps pulling them in, and that they will probably revert back to. And this is why they're so comfortable in letting it go at this moment in time. You know, they are not ready for union, quite simply. But I'm hearing that neither are you, and that, you know, the beginnings of this relationship were the beginnings of your individual journeys. We've got power, adventure, and action. Now, both of these cards came up in the other piles. It says here, I step into my future with determination and power, and they're shooting for the stars here, and they are moving with this flow of watery energy. Wonderful new experiences fill my life. Remember, we have that sun energy there, this pathway through the hills, and power. I'm radiant, glorious, powerful being. And again, with this Adam and Eve energy, you know, you're being brought back to your own power and this adventure that you both need to move forward on, independent of one another. Such interesting energies coming through for you too. Let's get some more archetype cards. What else do you need to know about this person? So we've got the light attributes of the engineer, the light attributes of the avenger, and the light attributes of the companion. So ability to give creative energy a practical expression, talent for designing resolutions to common dilemmas, desire to balance the scales of justice, righteousness on behalf of society or oneself, and light attributes of loyalty, tenacity, and unselfishness. So, you know, I think your person, deep down, you know they are good. You know they have a decent, pure heart, but their behaviors may not corroborate this idea. And again, we see someone here wearing a mask that may be sneaking. You're thinking, I'm not seeing the full picture. But I think you're being asked to trust that your person has a higher mission, and that they are, you know, trying their very best to step into that. Loyalty, tenacity, and unselfishness suggest to me that you would be wise to embrace this connection as it presents, and to maintain a friendship if that feels comfortable for you. So let's get some guidance cards for you as well. I'm going to go with more tarot. We've got the Ace of Pentacles in reverse. We've got the Hanged Man. We've got the Six of Pentacles in reverse and the Knight of Wands in reverse. Let's get some more Lovers Oracle cards. We've got Marlene Dietrich, Mary Shelley, and Marilyn Monroe. And from the crystal Oversoul cards, just to help you understand which crystals you ought to be working with, we've got kunzite, amber, and garnet. So I have got kunzite and garnet to show you. I don't have any amber, but let me grab the others. So this is kunzite. It's a sort of pinky lilac-y stone. Kunzite is an extremely soothing energy. It's also divinely feminine. So this is a powerful stone for you to work with. Garnet often appears, well, this is polished, but raw garnet is quite dark. It's not as gemmy and kind of clear as the garnet we see in jewelry, but this is a very grounding, stabilizing energy as well as quite powerful. Of course, amber is fossilized resin rather than a crystal, but I'm really drawn to the numbers that present here because 20 is the energy of intuition and unity. 2-5 is the energy of intuition and transformation. And 3-6 is divine femininity and unconditional love. So, you know, these stones are definitely energies that you need to work with. But let's get some charms for guidance as well. Okay, one fell out. I'll check that in a minute. I'm just giving them a really good shake before I grab a handful. So what's this one that fell out? Hold on, what does this say? It's so tiny. It says daughter. So we've got this little tiny one here. And then we've got, wow, this came out 4 piles today. This is a positive sign. The IPHM charm. I'll explain what that is in a mo. Save yourself. The You're a Loser on the iPod. The introvert charm. The dead battery. And another tiny one, a butterfly. How synchronistic. I feel like we need to get a couple more charms. Hold on. Oh, okay, so we've got 3 fill out here. The slightly bitter lemon. The double terminated, actually this is a Vogel point amethyst. The Rolodex. And I'm trying, and that's enough. So above all else, you're being asked to withhold judgment. It doesn't serve you to be self-righteous about this person. Yes, they may be a Casanova and fooling around, but you know, none of us are perfect in our youth, and we all make egoic mistakes. We all hurt people. You know, we all learn at a different pace, and you know, you see the truth of who this person is, and deep down, they are not all the terrible things that you keep trying to convince yourself of. But now is not the time for a new beginning for you two. You know, this is the energy of surrender here with the Hanged Man, that you're being asked to surrender to and save yourself. We've got IPHM here now. This is a governing body for holistic practitioners. And I'm really drawn by the peace symbol here in the world. You know, you need to focus on healing yourself. And it says here, you know, with this floppy disk, you need to save yourself. This is a positive sign, even though it doesn't seem it. As I said, your person isn't really moving away from you in a permanent way. They're moving towards their own growth, and that's what you need to do as well. You need to allow for your paths to diverge in the way they are meant to. You will not find the reciprocity you're looking for in this connection presently. You know, with the Knight of Wands in reverse, you know, this person isn't going to change out of that kind of Casanova, you know, very flighty, unpredictable energy anytime soon. You know, we've got this message here on the iPod about you're a loser. The numbers on here are 12 and 401 for those of you looking for signs. 12 is, of course, the energy of the Hanged Man as well. And 1 is the energy of oneness. And 2 is the energy of intuition. You pull them together, you have 3, which is Divine Empress energy. Remember, that came out in reverse as a distorted energy. And you know, I'm hearing that it just doesn't serve you to be in a relationship right now with this person or otherwise. You've been looking for a relationship to complete you, and that isn't going to happen for you because you have to learn to complete yourself. When the introvert comes up, you know, you're very much being guided towards solitude right now, and to keep yourself to yourself and to learn to be your own companion and lover. You know, when you're running on an empty battery, I'm hearing that you have run out of steam with this situation, and that's okay. You're trying, and that's enough. You know, to trust that, like this butterfly, you are both transforming through these energies. And I know you're slightly bitter about how it's gone, but you know, the amethyst point, especially the fact that it's a double terminated one, if you think about that as a demonstration of comfort, psychic and intuitive abilities, you know, you and your person are one and the same. You just need to move in polar opposite directions right now so you can come back together later. And again, the Rolodex pages move between numbers 1 and 3, which again, you know, being at the beginning of your journey, remember we had 1, 2, 3, you know, for that Empress energy as well, really standing out. This is where your focus needs to be. Pile 3, it needs to be on you. Now we've got this energy of daughter here. Now if you don't have a daughter, this may refer to you as a daughter, but again, You know, this is where some focus needs to be. There's something connected to either you as a parent or you and your parents that still needs to be resolved. And that might be referring to the support that you need. We've got Marlene Dietrich, dress for yourself, not for a lover or occasion. Once you have forgiven your lover, get them to reheat the sin. It's the friends you call after the hours that matter. So that's really interesting. You know, first of all, it's reminding you that this person has awoken something in you. You know, for the first time in a long time, you felt enthusiastic, passionate, sexual, but you need to step into that energy now for yourself and not because they're inspiring it. And it does say once you've forgiven this person, get them to reheat the sin. And that suggests to me that, you know, this connection's not over. And again, not to be too self-righteous about moving it forward, despite their status as perhaps not a single person. Mary Shelley, the beginning is always today. Elegance is inferior to virtue. A slavish bondage to parents cramps every faculty of the mind. So again, that daughter energy, it might be that you're giving too much support or not receiving enough. There's something for you to focus on here. Remember that every day is a new beginning. Marilyn Monroe says, orgasms don't exist. It's better to spend your time reading Ulysses. Enjoy your wedding day. You only get to do that 3 or 4 times in your life. Never pick stability over a good time. And so, you know, this feels like that kind of divine feminine empowerment that, you know, you're starting to realize you have many options. And at this stage in your life, it doesn't serve you to tie yourself to one specific person or being or situation. You're being guided to explore all of your own passions and self, and to give yourself more time, love and attention to be your own lover. So I really hope that was helpful, pile 3. I'm going to take this over to the extended. We're going to go deeper with the thoughts and feelings. We're going to get some messages from your person's higher self as well. If this resonated for you, you can find the link to the extended in the description box below. But thank you so much for joining me here today. I really appreciate it. A very special thanks to those of you that took the time to watch my commercials today. I appreciate that so much. It's so generous of you to exchange energy with me that way. And it really does make the hugest difference to my channel. So thank you for those of you that do that. And thank you just for being here. Thank you for hitting the like button, for subscribing, for your beautiful comments and feedback. I appreciate you all so much. It really is such a pleasure to do these readings. And I will see you next time. Lots of love. Bye.